Hey guys, quick question for you. Before I put on today's guest, I want to ask you, how many of you have been divorced before? Many of you have. I know I have. I've been divorced more than once. Not going to tell you how much times though, but more than once. Anyway, the reason I'm asking you is this. How many of you can honestly say that you can divorce like a pro? Well, on this episode, which is Meet the Attorney episode, I'm going to introduce you to an attorney that has the ingredients for you to divorce like a pro. So without further ado, enjoy the show.
Hello, and welcome to Marketing Solutions for Local Businesses, the podcast where you will discover all the latest and greatest digital marketing tools, tips, and strategies you will need to implement in order to stay ahead of your competition. If you are not getting the results you are looking for from your digital marketing efforts, this is the podcast for you. And now, here's the host of our show, the local business guy himself, Frank Deming.
Hello, everyone. This is Frank Deming, the local business guy, and welcome to another episode of Marketing Solutions for Local Businesses. Happy Wednesday. Happy hump day, everyone. I hope you guys are having a rockin' week thus far. Today is my special Meet the Attorney series. As I do on every second Wednesday, of every month, I like to interview attorneys, introduce them to you, so that in case if you are looking for some kind of help in any industry in the law practices, you have the right person at your fingertips. And today, I have a rock star, I have a superstar, a person who practices, family law. So I want to introduce you to the great Debra Whitson. Hello, Debra. How you doing?
Hey, Frank. Happy Wednesday to you. I'm doing great. So glad to be here with you today.
I am glad you're here as well. So I already said some nice things about you in the pre-intro there before we hit record, Debra. So I wanted, in your own words, who are you and what do you do?
So I went into the practice of law with a calling to be a criminal prosecutor. And I did that for the first 10 years of my career. And in the context of that work, I became an expert at working with victims of domestic and sexual violence. So I was my district attorney's office's special victims bureau chief, so to speak. I found that I had a passion for working with in particular, those types of victims and being a voice when they were often voiceless. When I decided it was time to leave government work and take a different tact, it seemed natural to sort of switch into family and matrimonial law. There seemed to be a lot of overlap, I think, with the kinds of people that I encounter and the kinds of issues that families are dealing with. And so I've turned my passion for, being the voice of people and being a creative problem solver into helping people find creative and alternative ways to address their family law issues without blowing up relationships and without warfare, if possible, without damaging their own psyches and their children if they have children involved in their matrimonial or family law situation. So we offer a variety of solutions to our clients, and many of them are out of the, typical courtroom setting. So people find it odd when they go to my website or access my materials or see my deliverable videos out there in the world on social media, et cetera, when I say that the last place people should be in their family law matter is standing in a court.
Yeah, I haven't been divorced. In the past, I can agree. So just so we have an understanding of what you do, Debra, because I want to match you up with the right people. What services do you provide? I mean, I understand you do family law, but what any other services that you provide, and do you do it for different states?
So my law firm is located in the northeast part of New York State, and we only serve New York clients in the law practice. So we do a full range of family and matrimonial law services. So that would include divorces, contested and uncontested. We offer mediation. We offer collaborative divorce. We serve custody cases, grandparent rights, protective orders or protection from abuse cases. We do adoptions. We do prenup agreements, postnup agreements, cohabitation agreements, pet custody agreements. So anything family law. But we really we want to focus and be experts and develop a reputation of being a full service family law firm, but we don't really do anything that's not touching on family law in some aspect.
It's funny when you just said something that I didn't realize. I didn't realize pets were a deal. I didn't realize. I knew kids were, but I didn't know about pets. It's interesting.
Pets are a deal. If you're a pet parent like I am, and you love your fur babies, your dogs, your cats, your ferrets, or whatever, in breakups, that can be touchy. And in many states, including until very recently in New York, there really weren't special rules about that. They were basically considered personal property in the divorce. And so it often caused a lot of contention and a lot of heartbreak for the person who didn't end up getting the beloved family pet.
Interesting. So I understand in doing research, Debra, that you're in the northern part of New York State, correct?
Correct. I'm in the northeast corner. People might recognize Lake Placid as the home of 2 Winter Olympics, and that's kind of right in the heart of the community that I serve.
Love it. Love it. Now, if someone in New York City were to need a divorce attorney or a family law attorney and they found you, will you be able to service them?
I would be able to service them in certain areas. So for collaborative divorce, nobody's stepping foot in a courtroom, so it doesn't matter where the parties or the collaborators are located. For mediation, the same is true. And for truly uncontested divorces, where the parties are sure that whether through mediation, collaboration, or just good old negotiations, they want to settle out of court and submit their agreement to the court for an uncontested divorce. People like going upstate if they're in the city, if any of the 5 boroughs of the city, or even Westchester and Long Island, because the court backlogs there are really lengthy, whereas we have less of a backlog here up north. So if you think you can mediate, collaborate, or settle your divorce, and you want an uncontested divorce fairly quickly, we are a better venue to file those papers. And no one has to go to the courthouse, so it doesn't matter where the parties are.
Wow, that's awesome. That's I wanted to ask you that because I was curious about now, has that been since COVID or that kind of stuff has happened prior to the COVID?
I think it's been more common in COVID because you don't even have to go to the courthouse to physically file documents, and the acceptance of digital signatures and so on has become much more standard in legal matters since COVID. So it's become more flexible. But in divorce matters, technically, New York is proper jurisdiction for any divorce, and the parties have a choice of venue. Now, if you're going to fight it out in court, you obviously don't want to come to Essex County, New York, up near the border with Quebec, Canada, if you physically are in Brooklyn. So you're going to go to court, like this wouldn't make sense to reach out to Whitson Law Firm. But if you're going to stay out of court, we could definitely more quickly get your case pushed through the system up here.
Awesome. Now, the title of this episode is Divorce Like a Pro. So I'm going to put you in the spot here, Debra, if you don't mind. And I want to find out more about why divorce like a pro. When I said I'm going to put you in the spot, I'm going to ask you, are there any tips, that you can give to clients who are thinking about divorcing, their spouse? Think about, any tips at all?
So I think the top 2 things that I would like to relay in our time today is, one is to think about the method and the manner in which you get divorced. So we like to work with good people who are trying to avoid bad divorces. So a lot of people think that their only option is to go to the courthouse and file. And, I guess going back 10 or 15 years ago, before New York had no fault divorce grounds, you really wanted to be the first to file, and you wanted to come out of the gate punching hard because you had to allege the other person was at fault. It was a terrible way to start things off for people who didn't want to have a bloody battle, right? But they had to. So now we have irretrievable breakdown of the marriage. And so that's great. So you can have a court-based divorce that's not a bloody battle on who did what to whom and who's the jerk or not the jerk in this breakup of the marriage. But I really want to encourage people to examine or to learn about the alternatives to stepping first into the courthouse. So there's a whole range of options that people have when they're approaching a divorce. And the way you start out can really set the tenor for the whole life of your divorce case. So some people consider the kitchen table, proverbially sit at the kitchen table or exchange emails or talk through this stuff and reach agreement or consensus on most of the big things. And so then they're a long way toward agreement. And then they might just need a little help from an attorney or two attorneys working with them to pull together a settlement. So I call that the kitchen table approach. For many people, communication problems that led to the breakup of the marriage mean that sort of informal, low touch, low outside resource kind of divorce may not be enough for them. So moving up the spectrum of outside involvement, you would potentially be able to seek mediation. And so mediation, for those who don't know, is a structured process where the parties agree to share information, be open with each other, be civil and respectful with the guidance and ground rules imposed by a mediator. And the mediator will help facilitate more productive communication dialogue between the parties, teach them better ways to communicate going forth if they have to co-parent together, which is another plus, and then allows them to keep control of their outcomes, not have a stranger in a black robe decide anything for them. And that's a relatively peaceful, low cost, low stress way to get a full agreement that can then be an uncontested divorce. If that's not quite enough support for families, or there's unique issues like closely held businesses that might be hard to value, self-employed people whose income reported on their tax returns may not tell the whole story of their financial situation, or for families with kids with special needs, a process like collaborative divorce, which is a little more formal, a little more structured than mediation. It involves collaboratively trained attorneys for both parties, usually a divorce coach leading the process, and then the parties might bring in financial professionals to help with tough financial issues or valuation issues. They might bring in parent and child specialists to help with custody and parenting issues. And everybody on that team commits to stay out of court and work together to resolve all the issues that need to be resolved so the parties can then go to an uncontested divorce based on an agreement. And then the last stop on that sort of train of increasing outside involvement and increasing expense and stress is going to court and litigating it out with two attorney litigators. So I'd like to stress to people that you do have all those options. And while some of them require the other spouse to agree to participate in a non-litigation option, there are so many benefits to all of those other paths. In terms of cost, stress, self-esteem, self-respect, that kind of thing, to keep it out of the warfare arena. So that's point number one. And then point number two is whatever method you're choosing to approach your divorce, I would really encourage people to critically think about the attorney that they hire and try to hire an attorney who offers the services that align with the way they want to approach their divorce and share the same philosophies and approach to things. Because if you are conflict resistant or avoidant, if the thought of battling or attacking somebody just makes you want to throw up, then hiring, a pit bull litigator is maybe not the best choice for you.
Wow. So that's what divorcing like a pro is all about?
Yeah, it's about making sure you understand your options, choosing the right people in your corner to support you through the path that you choose. And I think in the end, you'll have better outcomes that you will be happy with. I really want to encourage people to think about making choices along the process of divorcing that particularly if they have children, that 10 years later, if they're standing at a child's graduation or wedding, that they look back and say, I'm proud of the choices that I made when I went through my divorce.
There you go. Yeah, because I mean, divorce is almost like such a common thing nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
It's I don't want to say it's inevitable, but it's a common. It's a very common. So yeah.
Yeah.
Now, in doing some digging, in preparation for this interview with you, I understand you have another business, a mediation business. I was curious, first of all, let's talk about that a little bit, and also I would love to know how you combine this mediation business and your law firm services, and and how does it assist your family law clients? So it's a two-part question there.
Okay. So fair question. So in New York, if you have need for family law services, whether it's just straight up custody or family support or a prenup agreement, or any other type of family law matter short of divorce, you can access legal services, legal advice, and combine that with a mediation or collaborative approach through the law firm. So we're a full service New York law firm offering the whole spectrum of alternatives to all of our family law clients. When the pandemic hit, and I hope the chief administrator of New York courts isn't listening, because she will insist the courts were never really closed, but for all intents and purposes, they were pretty much closed for a while. So during that time, I was fielding a lot of calls about parents who didn't know how to follow custody orders, about exchanging kids who might have COVID or something, right? Or if a parent had COVID, does that mean they forfeit visitation? And what do they do? Or what do I do because I need to get out of this relationship and I don't have access to a court very easily or readily? So my mediation company, which is called Mediator Online Solutions, was the answer to that dilemma. And then I had this sort of light bulb moment that I could reach anybody anywhere with mediation services if I was not practicing law outside of New York in conjunction with those services. So I offered my mediation services anywhere on the planet where I am clear that I am not giving legal advice to anybody outside of New York State. I'm serving just as their neutral mediator, and I encourage them both to get independent legal counsel either throughout the mediation process or before signing any memorandum of understanding or agreement that comes out of their mediation. So that's been a nice offering for people, because they get to tap into my 30 years of experience and the experience of all the people that I employ in both of those businesses. And we do it all by secure video conferencing, Zoom or Microsoft Teams or Skype or WhatsApp.
Oh, you still use Skype?
Some people do. I find it's more of an international thing than the States, but whatever platform the parties are comfortable using, we're happy to work with them in a mediation way.
Interesting. And you actually combine these two businesses, correct?
They're separate businesses. They have overlapping, mutually beneficial services. So for instance, if I'm mediating outside of New York State, I won't prepare a formal marital separation and settlement agreement. I will prepare a very well done memorandum of understanding, which they need to have an attorney endorse and convert into a marital settlement and separation agreement. So in New York, we can go soup to nuts, mediation to judgment of divorce. Mm-hmm. Outside of New York, you can mediate to get a memorandum of understanding that can then be turned into a prenup agreement, a postnup agreement, a marital settlement agreement, a custody agreement, or whatever. But you need to take it to an attorney licensed in that jurisdiction to get legal advice about that and make that document a legally cognizable agreement in that state or country.
Great. Awesome. No, it does make sense, because when I saw that, I was like, that's an interesting. It's interesting that it was separated. It's usually combined, but I know I understand, since you want to help other people from the other states, you have to kind of separate. So that's good. That's a good idea. Love it. So another, as I was researching you a little bit, I also see that you have a book. And so let's talk a little bit about that book. And also, I would love to know, how does that book help any client that's considering divorce?
So me and the other attorneys on my team and our certified divorce specialists in my law firm who speak with potential new clients to our firm, walk our clients through that kitchen table to mediation to collaboration to courthouse spectrum in every one of our consultations. So much so that there's some days that I feel like all I have discussed is kitchen table to courthouse progression with people during the day. So since I say it all the time, I created videos to explain it. So we could send videos out to social media and on our website and email them to people who are inquiring about our services at our firm or in our mediation. Nice. And then I thought, well, why not reach a wider audience? And I don't have to say it so much. I can let people access this book, buy it on Amazon, download it from our website. So I wrote it all down in Divorce Like a Pro. It's a very short, simple read. Describes all the better ways you can approach your breakup besides blowing up the house and, burning down the grounds. It's so far been a really helpful tool, and people are receiving it quite well.
I like it. How long has it been out?
It was released in late October of 2022.
Last year. Okay, awesome. Oh, so it's recent.
Yeah, so it's fairly recent.
Good. Cool. I like that. And you said you already mentioned that people can buy it in Amazon. And then I'm assuming they can also download it from your book. Now, they download it from your website, but it's for purchase, correct?
They download it from the website as an ebook for free. You can get a Kindle version on Amazon for free if you like it on your Kindle device. And then you can purchase a paperback or hard copy. So whatever way you like to handle your books. I mean, some people are really old school, want to highlight the book and dog ear the pages and refer back to it or whatever. So the paperback and hard copy are for sale on Amazon. Kindle is free and download for free on our law firm website and the mediation website, actually.
Gotcha. So like I said, I like to put people on the spot. So I'm about to put you on the spot again here, Debra, if you don't mind. So, there's a ton of divorce attorneys, family law attorneys, in New York State. Let's just limit it to your state, your home state. What makes you different?
So what makes me and the people I hire different is that even though we all have experience in litigation, so remember, I came out of the prosecutor's office where I was, doing felony trials. So I definitely am an experience, and I guess I had a reputation of being kind of a tough litigator. The New York State Police used to refer to me as hazmat, short for hazardous materials. So I can be a tough litigator when I need to be. But I found that when I took those skills and I went into family law and started my own law firm, that it was the court system was and that approach was doing more harm to families and individuals than help. So I had a sort of a personal transformation and enlightenment about that. And so as part of our philosophy of helping people to see that there are options and choose options that are in alignment with their values, I also make sure that everybody who has contact with clients in my law firm, whether they're lawyers, paralegals, the person answering the telephone, or our client support specialists, they all go through a training offered by the National Association of Divorce Professionals to become certified divorce specialists. And that's all about understanding in a broad way the various arenas of a person's life that are affected by divorce, but more importantly, how to communicate effectively with somebody who's going through stress. And there's no question that whether you want a divorce, you need a divorce, and you've chosen a path that's not contentious, there's still stress. It's still a big life change. And so we want to make sure that we're able to communicate effectively, to be empathetic and understanding, to wrap around the client all the services they might need. So we don't offer counseling, but we can encourage and connect them with counselors in their area. We can connect them with divorce coaches, financial professionals who can assist them. And so we really consider ourselves kind of our value add is our unique approach and the ability, but also the commitment to making sure that our clients have all of the resources and supports that they need. And by making this book available for free. It's about helping people, educating people, and the more people we reach, the more successful I feel I am as a professional.
Awesome. I love it. So the website is whitsonlaw.com. That's
Can
W.
I stop you?
Uh-huh.
It's a Whitson Law Firm.
I'm sorry. I meant to say whitsonlawfirm.com. That is WHITSON lawfirm.com. I will have a link in the show notes in case you want to reach out to Debra and check her out. Another link I will have in the show notes is her LinkedIn. So if you're thinking about a divorce or have any family issues, even as detailed as, having issues with who has the pets, which is something I just learned on this interview. That is a thing. Reach out to Debra. I'm sure she'll be able to help you out and talk to her about some mediation if you're outside of the state of New York. Do you have that link, Debra, for the mediation?
Yes. So that would be mediatedonlinesolutions.com.
Mediatedonlinesolutions.com. Love the name. I will have a link to that as well in the show notes. Now, before I let you go, Debra, is there anything that I did not ask you that you think would benefit the audience?
So I'm a strong proponent that because divorce is a significant life event and life change, and even if you wanted it, there's a process of grieving, loss, anger, acceptance, and all the things similar to the process that you go through when you actually lose someone to death. So this is not a sign that anybody is weak or that they are not coping well, but I think everybody owes it to themselves to have a counselor and potentially a divorce coach in their corner. Divorce coach, especially if they're in a court-based divorce. It's going to help you through it. It's going to minimize your legal expense. It's going to help you come out the other side sooner and happier and less stressed. I would really strongly encourage people. I know that I'm, in the law business, and I'm not getting anything about sending people out to the mental health or the divorce coaching field. But I find it's such a valuable addition to the people in your corner when you're going through a big life event, like even a custody battle or a divorce. So I would strongly urge people to consider that. It's not a sign of weakness; it's a sign of strength.
Amen to that. I love that. I've never heard it put that way, but it is true. Very, very, very true. I agree with that. Take care
of yourself. You got to take care of yourself, especially if you have kids, because you got to be there for them too through a difficult time.
Yeah. Having gone through it, I can attest. I've gone through it a few times, so I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
So I think we hit a good this is a really, really, really good end to this episode. Now, if anyone's out there outside of New York and they're considering mediation, definitely check out Debra. I'll have a link to the mediation website on her in the notes, in the show notes. Also, if you're in New York, whether you're in up in Lake Placid or down in New York City and you need some advice, definitely check her out. But everyone that's listening to this episode right now should get a free copy of her book, Divorce Like a Pro, because it is the thing that you need to start. Even if you're just thinking about divorce, this is something that will help you. So without further ado, I'm going to end this episode. This has been Frank Deming, the local business guy, and you've just been blessed by the great Debra Whitson. Take care, everyone. Until next week. Peace out.
Thanks for listening to another episode of Marketing Solutions for Local Businesses, the podcast where you will discover all the latest and greatest digital marketing tools, tips, and strategies you will need to implement in order to stay ahead of your competition. Don't forget, any links that were mentioned during the broadcast will be available to you in the show notes, so be sure to grab them while you have the chance. Incidentally, if you have any topics that you would like for us to discuss on the show, be sure to send an email to the email provided in the show notes, or click the Contact Us link and let us know what topic you would like us to help you with, and we'll be sure to add it to our schedule. If you would like for Frank and his team to look at your digital marketing presence and give you a free evaluation, simply click the Request a Free Consultation link in the show notes to get a hold of them. That being said, until our next episode, make it a successful digital marketing day. Peace out.